And welcome to another episode of Down the Blocks with Chris Young, the former Michigan pivot. Man, we're talking another Michigan victory, albeit an ugly one up there in State College.
Yes.
A one-pointer. I'm telling you what, Chris, I had a meltdown at T-Will.
Yeah.
I said, you're walking home.
Yeah.
You're walking home.
Yep.
That foul at the end of that foul in the act of shooting.
Yep.
The only way you could lose a game was right then.
Yep.
Doing that.
Doing exactly what he did.
Where is all the communication in the huddle, guys? Did you ever have those kind of huddles? All I care is don't do this.
Yeah, don't do that. That's it.
Just don't do that. Just don't do that.
Yeah.
Anything else but that.
Well, and also, the last 4 seconds or whatever, we hit 2 free throws to go up 4. They call timeout, throw the ball to half court, call timeout again. If I was Juwan and the coaching staff, I'd have kept those guys right at the sideline. Go ahead. Let them do whatever the heck they want to do.
Exactly.
Nothing. Stay as far away from them as possible. They hit a 3. Who cares? You still win by 1.
I think T. Will was over there by that guy. The dude hit the 3. I don't know. I'm not sure who hit that 3. If it's Miles Dredd, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who it was.
Yeah,
but
at that point,
I was
so upset. I don't know who it was, but
okay, so it wasn't just me.
No, gosh, no.
And it's so weird because that was a good win, but it just colored. I mean, is there that much buffoonery on this team? All the other shit where we can't stop, the ball screen situation and blow-bys, breaking records in a negative way at blow-bys, starting with Minnesota, but doing stupid stuff on the floor.
I think it's especially guys like Terrence Williams and Brandon Johns and Kobe Buffkin and these guys that are coming off the bench that don't get a whole lot of playing time.
Yeah.
They're trying to do so much. They're just trying to show the coaches that, man, I got energy and I should be out there and I should do this and I should do this. They're not using this. They're not doing it at the right times. They're just doing too much. Just calm down and play.
I tell you what, that was a good win. I mean, I'm going to continue to say that was a good win. This is a Penn State team.
This is a win we needed to have. I mean, there's just no way around it.
And John Harrow, that big guy was so good. He was a good player. I mean, he reminds me. You're not gonna remember a guy named Jim Rowinski at Purdue back in the early '80s. Just muscular guy, just a banger. Yep. Reminded me of that kind of guy. Just getting it done. And this would have been a devastating loss. It would be over with. It'd be over with.
Yeah. Yeah, they would have no shot tomorrow night, and going against Ohio State on Saturday, and all that, it had just been all downhill from here. I mean, this would have been, we'd have been looking back 4 weeks from now and been like, yep, the Penn State game's the one that turned it for the season, and that's why we lost the next 6 in a row, and that was that.
Okay, well, let's go through. I mean, this box score here again. Michigan a winner last night, and I hate to sound Mr. Negative here, but in Michigan did win the game 58-57. A little deceiving, it's actually 58-54, but they hit a 3 at the buzzer, made it look even closer, but just painstaking root canal down the stretch.
My analysis is that Penn State lost that game more than Michigan won that game. Penn State was fully in control. They were doing whatever they wanted to do, especially the first half, getting to the basket.
Up by 11 in the first half.
Anytime they wanted to get to the basket, a couple dribbles to the right-hand layup. It was ridiculous. And then they're packing in the paint, and we're not shooting well. I mean, again, we were 5 for 21 from 3.
Yeah. Yeah, 5 for 21.
Not moving the ball, just not trying to do too many ISO things. Too many guys getting into the paint, trying to shoot floaters over bigger players instead of attacking the rim. There just wasn't that fluid offense that we've been used to seeing. Hunter was Hunter. He played a great game, but he didn't shoot the ball incredibly well because he's playing against some bigger guys that are trying to be physical with him.
Yeah. Well, they were. I mean, Penn State was doing some stupid stuff.
Oh, and then the late in the second half, they were just doing.
Oh, well, they're trying like Pickett. He'll dribble around, then he decides to shoot. Yep. I mean, it literally looks like a pickup game. Penn State looked horrible.
Yes.
I mean, Michigan looked bad. I mean, and this is a Penn State team, and I give them a lot of credit. They're a head knocker team, and they should have beat Wisconsin. I watched that game this past weekend up in Madison, who went on and beat and drilled Michigan State last night.
Yeah, they did.
So the Big Ten is a mess.
Of course.
Anyway, well, I mean, it's a mess. Purdue's pretty doggone good, as is Illinois. But anyway, I looked at I looked at Penn State and just head stretching motion. If I was a Penn State fan, and I would just be, oh my God, we got a decent crowd here, maybe over 5,000 finally. They were engaged. I thought Penn State fans were engaged.
Yes.
And just offensively, they are a train wreck, which is why Michigan won the freaking game, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. And for Penn State, this was a game they had circled on their calendar like, oh, this is one we can get.
Yeah.
You know, Michigan's been struggling. Yeah, they challenged some good teams, but they haven't shown that they're one of the elite members of the Big Ten. If we want to have any chance of making it into the tournament, we got to get this win.
Yeah.
So that's why they came out there and played the way they did. But, I mean, you nailed it right on the head. They looked a lot like kind of what Nebraska does towards the end of the game, where it's all ISOs and one-on-ones and a lot of just ball handling. And, oh, look what I can do, and then I'm going to pull from 30 feet away with a guy in my face.
That's what
there's no fluidity to the offense. Crispin was doing the game, who I played against, and he was even attack the basket. Just dribble drive and then kick, as opposed to just working somebody and taking a shot. And he was absolutely right, and they just totally got away from their flow in the offense.
Yeah, Michigan looked fluid again relative to Penn State. I mean, they had some decent ball rotation. Again, not hitting the shots, 5 of 20, 21 beyond the arc. I thought Hunter played pretty good. He's really starting to get consistent. I mean, the 19 and 15, how can you argue with that?
Yep.
And also, finally, Eli Brooks is, in just a generally solid overall game, I thought, for him. But other than that, I mean, Diabate, 3 points, 1 for 4. And then Caleb Houston, it's not so much him missing shots, it's just getting separations to take a shot. Yep. He's your 3, and he's 1 for 4. 32 minutes of this game, Chris.
Yep.
And he shoots the ball 4 times. How can that be?
Yeah, again, I hate to keep referencing Crispin, who was doing the broadcast last night, but even he said that he ducked a couple times at some of the shots that Michigan was taking. I mean, Frankie Collins took one that hit the top corner of the square from 3.
Oh, I remember that.
The shots that we were taking, and some of them were contested, and we have to take contested shots and make contested shots, but we were missing wide open shots. We were airballing 3-pointers on kickouts. I mean, we just were not shooting the ball well at all. Yeah. And you said it right. Finally, after 3 weeks, a month, Eli Brooks finally looked like he was back to himself. He was much more comfortable on the offensive end. It looked like whatever little injuries or however he was banged up, it looked like he was finally back. But the other guys, I mean, nobody showed up. I mean, Brandon Johns, as much grief as we give him, he had maybe the best minute of his career at Michigan. He did. The last minute of the half.
He did.
He gets a rebound, it comes down and gets a bucket to tie the game.
Yes.
I mean, it couldn't have been any better. Yeah. He strung 3 plays together, which I haven't seen him do in a long time.
Yeah.
But then, you get to Moussa Diabate. Okay, he's incredibly aggressive on the offensive glass. He's all over the place, but he gets the ball underneath the basket and he doesn't know what to do with it. It's like it really looks like to me he hit that freshman wall.
Yeah.
Where it's the grind of all the games, it's the physicality of the games, where he just doesn't look like he's got that same pop to his legs. And that's a big thing for him. I mean, he tries to be one of those, really athletic, Giannis Oladipo type guys that's just running and jumping and blocking shots, and he looks a step slow, and he's looked that way for a week, 10 days now.
Yeah. So, I mean, I set the tone for this podcast, Chris, Mr. Just being a bitch fest, but I started ripping on T. Will. I shouldn't do that, but I couldn't get that out of my mind from last night.
And he's just absolutely basically the entire season, he's just been an enigma. You never know what you're getting from him.
You never know.
We all know what he's capable of. He showed it at Indiana.
Yes.
He showed it in a couple flashes where it's like, this dude is a legit guy coming off the bench that can give us good minutes, can score, can defend, can rebound. And then he'll disappear for 5 games, and then he does a bonehead thing like fouls a guy in a 3-point shot. It's like, come on, man.
In this 9, this candy box of 9 pieces of candy, I'm talking about the Michigan rotation of 9 people. I mean, T. Will epitomizes the box of chocolates thing. You never know what you're going to get.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
But sometimes he's great. Sometimes he's been terrific, and he's out there. I hate badgering on amateur athletes. No. I never badgered on you, Chris. Yeah, right. Never,
of course,
ever.
Yeah, right. I know a lot better than that. No, come on now. I've got a pretty decent memory for stuff like that, so no worries.
But anyways, I know we don't have a lot of time, but we just wanted to really get this out of our system. It was almost like I said, we got to vent. This is the most frustrating Michigan basketball victory I can recall. But there's opportunity ahead and plenty of opportunity ahead. Look at this schedule, folks, as we're listening here on the Down the Blocks with Chris Young and Tom Crawford. You got Purdue tomorrow night at 9:00, and then Ohio, third in the country, then Ohio State on Saturday, and then at Iowa and at Wisconsin. Those are your next 4 games. I mean, we'll just start with that, and then before we get too far ahead of ourselves, what do you expect out of those 4 games?
After that stretch, you're praying for Rutgers to come to town. And Rutgers is they're playing their butts off. So it's like, you can't even really look at those 4 games and be like, okay, once we get through this 4-game stretch, okay, we've got an easy one coming up. No, there's no easy ones. I mean, we played Purdue really tough the other night. It was always a 6 to 8 to a 10-point game, and we could never get over the hump. But we missed a bunch of layups. We missed a bunch of wide open shots, and that was at Purdue. Now watching Purdue last night, they look like a team that's
Jay Nivey is
a 4 team, if not a national championship team. They look as good as anybody in the country.
Yeah,
last night, Super Tuesday, I was going back and forth between games.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, Wisconsin looked great.
Yeah,
they really took it to Sparty. Auburn looked very average.
Yeah.
And they're supposedly the number 1 team in the country. Illinois, who's supposed to be a top 10, top 15 team, compared to Purdue, it's like a pro team playing against a college team. They didn't look like it. So, if we're able to put a game together tomorrow night against Purdue, I think we've got a decent enough chance to win the game.
Yeah.
Just based on our matchups, based on how we played them a couple days ago. Right. But we just have to make a couple shots. We make a couple shots, and that's a different game for us.
You got to stop Jaden Ivey. I don't know who it's going to be. I've said this all along. That dude is a flat-out player. He is Ayo Dosunmu all over again, 2.0. Yeah. And he's terrific. They're going to have to, because he goes into the paint and creates things.
Yep.
But this dude's got moxie.
No one stopped him all year. It's almost got to be like Jordan rules, where you slow him down, keep him under 30.
Yeah.
And just kind of stop everybody else, because no one can stop him. I mean, if he's not front runner for player of the year right now in the country, not just in the Big Ten, I don't know who is.
Yeah.
I mean, he is one of those players that he's electrifying. I mean, watching him against Michigan the other day, he broke Devontae Jones down and got into the paint. There was nobody in the paint. He pulled that ball back to his it was like a slam dunk contest style dunk. I mean, you don't do that stuff, especially in traffic. Okay, on the break, maybe something like that, but he is a special player. You're not going to stop him. You slow him down, you try and contain him, you make things difficult for him, and then you just stop everybody else. Yeah. But it's more about taking care of yourself, making shots. When you get opportunities, you make the open shots. When you get an opportunity for a layup, you make the layup. If you can block a shot, you block it. If you can get a rebound, you do what you can do, what you can control. And don't worry so much about what the other team is doing. You know what you're capable of doing.
Well, I give Michigan always a shot when they're at Chrysler. It's not like it's the most hostile environment, but they play. Michigan notoriously plays well at Chrysler as a program for multiple years. Gave them a shot. Well, give them a shot. I mean, they could win either one of these games, or they could be swept. But real quickly before we let you go, Chris, what do you expect for tomorrow night at Chrysler?
I mean, I realistically, I expect them to win tomorrow night. I expect an upset. Yep. I was very positive about the way they played them a couple days ago. Yeah, and that was on the road. That's Mackey Arena is a tough place to go and play, as Illinois found out last night. Michigan is capable of winning this game, but you can't go 5 for 21 like they did last night. You can't go 8 for 18. If you go 10 for 18, it's a different game. If you make one more shot or one more layup or do one more thing, that's a totally different game. That 6-point game is now a 3-point game or a 2-point game. And then anything can happen. But when Purdue's able to keep it to that 6, 8, 10, 12-point range, then you got to string possessions together. And we haven't shown that we can really do that. We got to keep this game as close as possible and give ourselves a chance on the stretch to make a play and make a shot to win this. Right. But I think they can beat Purdue. And, E.J. Liddell at Ohio State is a monster.
They're playing really good.
Problem for every team in the Big Ten. He's really bad matchup for us. But if we can slow him down, it's the same thing. We're playing at home. If we can make some shots, if we can maintain our home court, I think both of these are winnable games. I'd love it if we won them both, but realistically, I think we're going to go 500 in these two. But I think we're capable of winning both games.
Okay. Well, I'm going to chase your coattails on that, CY, and I'm picking Michigan as well over Purdue. So
There you
hopefully
go.
we're both right. We'll break it down. We'll try to reconnect on Sunday a little bit more time, and hopefully a couple victories for the Michigan Wolverines. Again, Chris Young, you bring it strong with opinion. Super job. And until next time on Down the Blocks with Chris Young on the Crawford Podcasting Network.